doing. All right.
There it goes.
All right. All right. Hi, everybody.
Hello. It's Lorina and Kimmie.
It's Lorina and Kimmie. Hey, we are going to have a really interesting discussion today. I think you'll like it. Yeah, really think you'll like it. Do you have anything to say about it before we introduce ourselves?
Not really. It's going to be.
Okay. Introduce the subject. All right. Okay, so we're going to talk about, is hell real? And some experiences we've had, like seeing, I don't know, darker entities, you can call it, or lands, or the land of hell, actually, and also lost souls who might be there, that kind of thing. And yeah, I think it'll be interesting. And then we're going to segue that into astral projection because they work really well together. So yeah.
You can astral project your way out of the hell realm.
Exactly. I think that's what we're going to talk about. That, yeah. What is it? What kind of construct is that? Yeah. So I guess I'll start with my story around hell. And maybe it really wasn't hell, but I was doing a meditation once in a group where I don't know, it was a free-form meditation and everybody was off doing their thing. But it was guided, but at some point I ended up in what I call the land of hell. And it looked like hell. It was that classic weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth, even though I didn't really see a lot of that. But what I saw a lot of bodies and just curled up and hunched over, like, and in this really dark space. I mean, the colors were dark. It seemed like I saw a lot of flesh as far as people. Like, it didn't seem like there was a lot of clothing. It didn't seem like naked people, but anyway, so what I was just watching and I wasn't afraid. I was just like, whoa, this is really interesting. What's going on here? And it reminded me of that movie, What Dreams May Come.
Oh,
Where
yeah.
yeah, it's a great movie to illustrate some of the things that we're going to talk about today. I mean, just really interesting looking down on these people, and they looked like trapped souls. They looked like they didn't know how to get out of there. They were stuck there. I didn't recognize anyone there. I guess that's good. Anyway, it was just a really interesting experience. And when I came back, it was like, oh my God, I think I was in the land of hell. Now, what is that? I think it's a place where a lot of souls go who, when they die, they end up there and they don't know how to get out of there. And they're trapped in their pain, their misery, their belief systems around hell. Anyway, it was wild. That's only happened once. I don't know how long ago, 7 years ago or something. Anyway, what do you have to say about that?
Well, I haven't had that kind of experience. I've read about it, like especially in the books by Jurgen, the multidimensional man.
Mm-hmm.
He described it very similarly to what you're saying.
And what's his name, just so people know?
It's Jurgen Ziwe. He's German. He's accidentally discovered astral travel through transcendental meditation, and then he reports back in all these places he's gone in the astral realms. But he has seen those places, seen how people have gotten there, why they're stuck, how they can get out. Just a lot of willingness, he says, to forgive, let go, feel, and then you just start to remember where you're from, and then you go back. You can travel to the higher realms. Yeah.
What does he say? What does he say about it?
And it's just sometimes he says that he's been shown a lot of compassion for people. Like if he's been with a guide or like when he's traveled, he does get like guidance that they're just experiences that you can get
Oh,
trapped in, because he talks about helping a girl out of it actually one time in a very shamanic way. And she had been abused, and I guess she carried all this anger and she had all this unwillingness to forgive and to work
oh,
through her pain. So then she got stuck in the pain. It was just like she was stuck in the pain. But like he said, it was just a matter of helping, like talking to her and helping guide her. And then she got, her soul got brighter and brighter, and then she left. Um,
oh wow.
Part of her process in that one story.
Mhm.
But I don't know.
Hmm.
I've often questioned too from my acupuncture training
Uh-huh.
how much of that is because in Chinese medicine, it's more about like your soul has parts, right? Like your lungs have the Po, and the Po goes here, and then the Shen. And so all these things. So I kind of wonder sometimes, are these things like, is your higher self gone from that experience? Like it's your
Mhm.
higher self is always perfect and pure and loving, but there's a part of you, your soul, that didn't learn, that's stuck in these states, darker states of consciousness.
Mhm.
Like it's really hard for me to think like, oh, like that's all of who I am or whoever those people are would be. Maybe it's just a part of them.
Oh,
But
I'll
then
agree.
there's another part of them that's gone on. I think that might be some more truth to me. For me, I don't know.
And could it be just a part of their, because sometimes when people have traumatic experiences, like really traumatic experiences, a part
Right.
of their soul can actually split
Yeah.
and go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And maybe they're attracted to places like that because of the trauma. And then it has to be retrieved to bring them back so they can actually be alive. But there's some part of them that is somewhere else. And that would be soul retrieval, like in the shamanic cultures, talk about that. Yeah, because I've seen part of somebody's soul walk back into their being here. So, and that was during an energy healing session and a remote energy healing session. So that could be part of what's going on there too. Yeah, really interesting. I read a book. It's got a really strange title that is about this expert astral projector where
Mhm.
he goes and finds souls that are lost in places where they have people have died very tragically, and there's a lot of stuck souls in those areas,
Yeah.
which could have been what I was seeing,
Yeah.
something like that. And he goes and helps bring those people out of those places, and it's really a dramatic book. And I'm sorry I can't remember it now. It's I would have to look it up and find it because I have so many books. Anyway, really interesting stuff. So something like that could be going on, which leads me to seeing spirits like trapped souls and stuff. Because you have an experience where I think it was in a hospital or something,
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
it is really interesting. I think you should share that.
I mean, I try to put words to the experience.
Mhm.
The only thing I can, it was in Scottsdale at
Mhm.
the Mayo Clinic. I was when I was in acupuncture school, I was like a CNA in the ICU. So
Wow.
a lot of things, we were just mostly runners. So we had to run for blood but anyways, we used to get sent to the basement to retrieve certain beds for patients. And I had never been down there before. So I went down all the way to the lower level, and it was at night, and I had to like get this one bed that was like in the very far end of where they keep the beds and stuff. And like I just got this creepy feeling that came over my, like when you get the chills up your back, and I don't know, it was all in my third eye, but then I was just aware of this, like, I know we talked about it with Stranger Things, that one season when they're in the mall and they have that like monster, or what do they call them? The word for those. Anyways, I'll remember later. I'll remember after the video here. And it's like this whole mob of
it's the demiurge or something.
Dermagegans.
Demiurge. I think something like that.
I think the demiurge is the level, but then there's these monsters. But there's this one big monster in I think it's the third season. But anyways, it's like just this huge pool of all these bodies, like, and this flesh that could shape. And it was really creepy. But it was like, when I saw that, I was like, that's exactly what I saw in the basement of Mayo ICU. And what I saw was, it was almost like a self-perpetuating, and not to like demonize a demon, it would look like a demon.
Don't demonize demons.
It was almost like an perpetuating mechanism. Like you go to the hospital, but then there's so much pain and fear and numbness, like from all the drugs, and like there's confusion, and it's almost like it was needing to be fed, and all the energies there, it was like feeding off of all the fear and like pulling it down, and just getting like becoming this collection of, I felt a lot of lost souls too in there. One time
I was just going to ask you that.
Yeah, one time I remember going to get a pillow for a client, and we had to go into this one supply room, and I went to the supply room, and I felt this man with a cowboy hat, and I was like, and he was like, "Hi," and I'm like, "Hi," and he just all in my third eye, and he's like, hanging out. I'm like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "I don't know." Like, I came in, but I don't remember much, and I was like, I think something happened where this guy like came in and then either had a surgery and went under and didn't come back out, or something happened where he just forgot how he passed, and that he passed. So I was like, I think we might have, even though I was busy, I was like, you might have passed, and I was trying to help him along. But then, like, but those are the experiences I would have in the hospital all the time. But I feel like all the surgeries, all the medication, and like, I'm not judging people that participate in Western medicine, but there's almost like, there's such a disconnect, and it just creates more sickness. It's like almost like they had to keep feeding it more sickness. And that like there really wasn't like a true wellness, because the monster was the hospital in a lot of ways.
Oh, wow.
It was like the heart, like of this all works because we get fed and we get fed and we get fed. Wow. And I don't know. I don't know. That's hard to put that all into words, but it was very similar to that Stranger Things monster, the way it looked.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
That reminds me of that one experience that I had where I was bilocating, where I bilocated to a past life where I had just died. And I had just died. I was on the other side, and I was walking, and it was World War II. And it was basically a killing field. I mean, there was just a lot of dead soldiers everywhere. And walking through it and seeing all the confusion, the energy of the confusion and the pain and the sorrow, the grief, and like mostly it was confusion and pain. And I was walking through it and watching everybody. And for some reason I wasn't caught in it, but I had bilocated back to this place where that was my last past life, where I was witnessing the horrors of war. And I think that those places where there is a lot of death, like probably in the South in the US, where there are these fields of pockets of souls who are still trapped there. I think that's very possible. Yeah. I think that's what I was seeing, and it was pretty wild. But I wasn't afraid. I was just like, wow, okay, this is really interesting. So anyway, there's a lot. There's a lot on the other side, that's for sure.
Yeah. I wonder too, like, you made me flash back to one of my mom's ex-boyfriends. He used to go and reenact like those Civil War. They reenact those Civil War battles. I think about it. I'm like, are those people that like that was their past life and they're trying to like working. Like they
Yeah.
can't. They have to keep trying to go back to reenact it. Well, why
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting.
are they stuck?
I had a past life in the Civil War.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where I died in the Civil War. Yeah. Yeah. And I knew this was many years ago when I was still living in Utah. I remembered that past life. Yeah. Really interesting.
So have you
But
had a
hey,
lot of past lives as a man? You were saying like the last couple ones we talked where you were a guy.
yeah, I have been a guy a lot. I think I've been female a lot too, but I remember being a Roman soldier fighting in the Colosseum. Now that
Wow.
so I know I've been there too, but that I just I've only gotten flashes of that, and maybe I just don't want to see that because that's a lot of brutality and violence. And but
Yeah.
I have gotten glimpses of it. It's like, oh, I did that too. Wow. Okay. I like this path better in this lifetime.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. And
So,
I've heard, yeah,
but
and I'm sure if you went to the Coliseum, if you're sensitive, you're going to feel some really weird, funky stuff there.
is
Um,
that where they like the Colosseum? Is that where they like sacrifice a lot of people, the lions and things like that?
yeah, did
Yeah.
battles. Yeah. Yeah. Like one on one. Yeah. Christians got fed to the lions kind of thing. I, I don't like history because it's full of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, I was not a good student of history because of that stuff. Don't want to know about that because we keep doing things like that as humans on Earth, wars and all these things. Yeah, keep doing the same thing over and over again. Yeah. Anyway, can we have peace, please? Jeez.
One day when this
Yes,
construct ends.
you have to get
Um,
out of this construct.
but back to that question, I feel I don't know about you, but that does is hell real? I feel like it's a state of consciousness. Like this could be. I mean, we could be in hell right now.
Oh,
There's that. People
yeah.
have said that.
Earth is rough. Yeah. So I think that it is a state of consciousness, but it has to do with, I think that there are energetic pockets that if you believe in it, that you're going to get put into it, or like
Mhm.
your energy is going to be attracted to like energy. And so you could get stuck there for a while if if you don't know how to get out, or you can't bring in if you don't have a different state of consciousness. Yeah, so I think it's definitely your state of consciousness, and it's also your belief system. I think both things go hand in hand. Yeah, and that's talking about the yeah. How do you get off? How do you get out of coming back here, so that
Oh yeah,
you
we
don't
were
have
having
to
that conversation.
experience this? Yeah, the wheel of samsara. How can you get off that wheel? Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, I know this wasn't really part of what we planned on talking about. Oh,
Yeah.
I know what it was. It was about like, okay, we were talking about how most people, when they report, when they have a near death experience, they cross over through the light, right? They go through the tunnel of light, they see their prior people that they've lost, they go to the
Mhm,
council, review themselves, and then go on from there, I guess,
mhm,
whatever that is. To a new incarnation, or like you take a rest and go to another realm, like.
mhm. Yeah.
And I was thinking about though how I had read about how much of that is because Native American people, Indigenous people, they do not have those experiences. So their near death experiences are very different. If you like, they've actually talked to a few of them, and and so they often go back to a tree, and it's like it's just very different. They don't see a council. They don't. So it just makes you wonder. I can't even properly tell you exactly what happens because I forgot. But they don't have those more modern new agey near death experiences.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
I don't know why. Well, why?
Yeah. Well, what's there? Yeah. Well, that reminds me back to that movie, What Dreams May Come. It's like you experience what you believe. when you go to the other side. And if you've read any of the Seth books, have you read any?
Is that
They're
Raw?
good. Yeah. What?
Is that Raw? The story like Raw?
No, this is Seth, and it's Jane Roberts.
Yeah.
And really, I mean, she has a lot of books. Really interesting. She channeled this guy named Seth. Anyway, in one of the books, actually, it talks about there is a place that when people die, they go to what they believe in. So if you're a Mormon, like I was raised Mormon, a lot of Mormons, they go to Mormon heaven, and it's actually produced for them so that they have that experience. And at some point, they go, hey, guess what? You don't need to do this anymore. That's my version of it. And so they take them out of that eventually so that they figure out what's really going on. But so when you die, you get to experience your belief systems. And they actually, in this book, they say that it is created for that person, and each person is different. So whatever you believe in is what you experience when you go to the other side. It's interesting. I cannot speak of that. I can only say that when I had my pre-birth memory, or like going back, it was a bilocation. I was suddenly at the place where you're deciding what kind of lifetime you're going to have here. It was in front of a council.
Mhm.
There was a bunch of guys, but I was specifically talking to one person, and I was going, I don't want to be here. I think I've changed my mind. And my mom was already pregnant with me. And they're going, no. And there was, and I could see what it looked like, these kind of heavenly realms, celestial looking cities. I mean, crystalline cities, beautiful, stunningly beautiful off in the distance. And so I've seen that. So, but was that the same thing again? Is just part of my belief system. So that's what I experienced. I don't know. I didn't know that was part of my belief system. It just happened. So who knows? There's a lot of big questions. I was following this guy, Robert Bruce, reading a lot of his stuff for a while. He's another astral projector, really prolific astral projector. And he had an experience where a being came to him and spoke to him and said, only speak of what you know, like from your own personal experiences. And he said, and so everything else you can just toss away. So there's like, might be true. And this is my personal experience, and this is what I can tell you. Hang on to those that might be true, and keep that open. And then what I have experienced, but keep that open too, because what you've experienced isn't fully the truth. There are many more pieces to the puzzle. Those are experiences where you are getting information. Anyway, I think that's a good way to live. Yeah.
Could you imagine Americans only talking about the things that they like? No, but our culture, people just flap their lips. That's what I'm joking. But
yeah, well,
Westerners, I shouldn't say Americans, but especially Americans.
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't know how to listen. They just are waiting to respond. And boy, that's it. Yeah, and it's a lot of opinions, and that's okay. It's okay to have your opinions. We all do. But not gonna.
We know the joke about opinions, right?
Yes, I was just thinking that, and I wasn't going to say.
We're not going to say. We'll keep it clean.
Yeah. Anyway, and so it's just interesting because there's so many things that are on the other side that you can experience through astral projection, through meditation, through plant medicine, where you get glimpses of all these things. And it's so varied and different, but there does seem to be a thread of commonality. But the Native American thing, that's really interesting. Yeah, I think that's worth thinking about.
But I wish I could remember. I mean, I wish I could remember this whole. But I think they don't have like a council. Like they would go to like I think probably a nature world. I mean, especially if they were living close to nature. I'm guessing like nature spirits or some of the like the blue deer with the huicholes. Or I'm sure that was their cosmology. That's where they went.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah. Different ways of looking at life and the different levels of existence and energy bodies and all these things. Yeah. It's fascinating. All right. So
I know we'll have to explore it more later, but I was telling Lorena about a dream I had about when your DNA and your ancestry. I had a dream about like two cosmologies and within my DNA that were like at odds. And what I was seeing is it creates like a lot of friction inside of me. But
Mhm.
like I could just,
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just like a deep thought I was having earlier, but
Yeah. It's interesting. Well, I've had a couple of experiences where I've actually either through breath work or was it astral projection, breath work, lucid dreaming, where where I have seen beings telling me, like literally telling me, now this, you are your belief systems. What you are experiencing are your belief systems. And I've said this before, it's not new, but that uh, in a sense, you could say we're in a hologram or a matrix, that we are in a structure of created reality that is your belief systems. But I think what we don't understand is how deep those belief systems run that does create this structure. That's part of it. So it runs deep. And
yeah.
religion, huge. like like our structure of reality comes from a lot of religions. And I mean all religions, not just the Christian ones or the ones that are more predominantly here in the US or
We'll have
Western.
to you'll have to take a peek at. I have to watch it. I only saw part of it. The future forecasting group that they remote viewed the rapture.
Oh, I did see that. I haven't watched it.
Just like, oh my god, like that's something to think about. But anyways, you'll have to watch it. But maybe if it sparks any topics for us
Okay.
here, like
That's really interesting.
I suspected a little bit of what they were saying, but then what they were saying, it's I'm not going to give it away. You guys can go look. It's Future Forecasting Group, and they just did it. And it's like remote viewed the rapture, but like there's a whole other thing behind what the rapture is based on something that didn't happen here on Earth
Uh-huh.
that
Mhm.
is like a
Oh.
cellular memory.
Oh, I'm gonna watch that. Okay.
Yeah, I
That's
was a little
really
shocked. I wasn't shocked at one part. I wasn't shocked at the alien part. Let's put it that way. But I was more
okay.
shocked at the, oh, okay, this is
Huh.
what.
Okay.
mo-
You've piqued my interest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, maybe topic for another day. But maybe we'll segue. Did you want to segue into astral projection? Like you have a lot more,
Yeah.
and like you have a lot more experience and knowledge of it than I do.
Well, and yeah, I have talked about this before, and I've done a lot of practicing astral projection, and when I was a kid, I astral projected quite a bit. And when I was a kid, so I would get to the point, and I always felt like there was somebody in the room helping me, like somebody over here somewhere helping me to astral project, and like a being, not like a child or a human. It felt more like a being or a spirit being, whatever you want to call them. And at some point, I could do it. All I had to do was just think about the vibration, like that sound, that vibrating sound that when you astral project, that starts happening.
Mhm.
All I have to do is think about it. And as I'm thinking about it, I would start feeling it and I could pop out of my body. It got to that point. Of course, I didn't know it was called astral projecting. I had no idea. I just knew that I would leave my body. Now, I have said before in the past that I didn't remember any of my astral traveling as a child. Well, and I remember coming back and it being very painful and very difficult to actually come back in my body. And at some point, I didn't want to do it anymore because it was so painful to come back into my body and to recalibrate
Oh
in my
wow.
body. I'd actually have to get up and start running like this really fast movement just to align where things. But now that I'm thinking about it, and I've been considering it because I'm getting back into astral projection again. That when I was a kid, I have some really profound dreams that now that I'm thinking of it, I think was astral projecting. But I didn't have a name for it, so I just called it I'm dreaming. And one of them was I was hanging out with this guy, and we were just hanging out in space. We were in space, and I was probably 10 years old or something. That's a big guess. But he was a fisherman. And what I mean, he had a fishing pole. He had a fishing pole. He was an old guy. He was balding. He had little old person's wire rim glasses, old gold
Keep
wire
it in
rim.
heaven.
Yeah. And we were just hanging out, and he was showing me around. And we were in space. We were in space. Nothing was like really happening. I mean, he was just showing me around. It's like, okay. I was holding his hand, and he was like my guide in this space.
Mhm.
And I wasn't afraid. I was just like, oh, okay, this is cool. Okay, we're hanging out. And then another one that I think I was astral projecting was, excuse me, I had a dream where, again, I think I was astral projecting, where it was so incredibly vivid and colorful. And these characters in this dream looked like animation. And I mean, I remember pinks and purples and blues and all of these beings, characters, as they move, the energy moves. And it was absolutely stunning and vibrant, incredibly vibrant. Nothing was not vibrant. It was so beautiful. And I just remember being there going, hey, I don't want to leave. This is really amazing and beautiful. And I want to remember this forever. And it looked again like that movie, What Dreams May Come, when they're
Mhm.
looking at the beautiful fields and the flowers and the energy of people, just the movement of the energy and the flow of and the colors and I remember seeing somebody who I thought was like a princess or something, who was this absolutely stunningly beautiful woman who was in all pink and reds, but these super vibrant strands of color coming from her as she moved. Anyway, I think I was astral projecting. I don't think that was a dream because I still remember it to this
Yeah.
day. So, and some of those things really stick with you. Anyway, so if you haven't seen What Dreams May Come, see that movie.
It's a good
It's
movie.
phenomenal as far as how it represents the astral planes. At least I think so.
Do you
Yeah.
think, speaking of that movie, it was really good. I remember it was like ahead of its time back in the day. But do you
Yeah.
think, now that I think about it, do you think that they were twin souls, or him and his wife? That they were representing it like,
Oh. Ooh. That sounds right to me because he had to go save her.
yeah.
He had to go save her soul. That was interesting. And she was, if I remember right, she was still alive, but there was a part of her that was stuck there because he was the one who had died and he was running around trying to. Am I remembering correctly?
I think she had committed suicide because at that point
Oh, okay. Yeah.
she
Okay.
had lost her
Yeah. Because I
kids, but
remember
then
her being in a really dark place while she was on Earth because he had died. Yeah.
I think the kids, well, not to spoil it, but anyways,
Yeah.
she was left by herself. She was already in the dark place, but then he was gone. And
Yeah.
then, yeah.
Okay. Anyway, see, I'll have to watch the movie again. I have a DVD of it somewhere. I don't think I have a DVD player anymore though, but that's neither here nor there. Ah, can find it somewhere.
I was
Yeah.
sure it's like probably on not Netflix, but
It's streaming
Amazon
some.
Prime.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
I
Yeah.
think my favorite scene is with the daughter when he realizes who she was. Like, I mean, when he was on the other side.
I don't remember.
Oh,
So you're
okay.
gonna have
Well,
to. Okay, I'll watch it.
yeah.
I'll watch it again. Anyway, so I've been getting back into astral projection again. And I've gone through periods where I'm really trying to astral project. And this was sometime now. I said that now it was actually closer to the year 2000 where I was playing around with it a lot. Again, I was reading Robert Bruce's books and trying to
Mhm.
do his techniques. And I would do it during the day instead of at night, and which helps you not fall asleep, which is a really good thing while you're trying to astral project. But while I was doing it, I was also doing a lot of meditation. I was really into Paramahansa Yogananda stuff too at the same time. So I was doing a lot of kind of metaphysical work. And I would pop into, while I'm sitting up in my bed, I remember like popping into a different world where it was like a different dimension and it was really flat. It was so bizarre. And that I can't even explain it. It was somewhere else. It was a different dimension and it seemed very flat. Like the qualities of this dimension were very flat. A lot of black and white, not a lot of color. But I remember seeing a spaceship. I remember seeing there were some humans there too. It was just odd. And then another time when I was doing it, I popped, but I was sitting up too. So I don't know if I really popped out of my body. I was in a different state of consciousness for sure. And I remember I'm hearing like voices that seem like either some sort of light language or star language. And I really don't like the term light language, but I could hear beings talking in a different language. And there was a lot of them. There was not just one. And I was hearing it. And it felt like they were around me. So maybe I was there
Okay.
and not here. And so I had a lot of experiences like that. So whenever I start really going back into consciously working with astral projection, I start having more unusual experiences like that, or I become a lot more intuitive, a lot more psychic. Like almost like there's something about doing that kind of work that just really turns me on, like on. And I start having a lot more dreams, become more lucid, all of those things. So it's a great thing to pursue. And that's why I'm mentioning this. Like for me personally, it puts me up different higher levels of that kind of work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
It's cool.
it's worth it. And also Gerald O'Donnell. Got to talk about him.
Yeah.
He's got some great stuff that kind of, that is, he calls it remote viewing or Avari, is what his system's called, Avari.
Mhm.
He calls it remote viewing, but really, I think what it is astral projection more than it. That's me. Because I think that you pop out, because the system that he uses is actually a way of popping out of your body. It, yeah, it's astral projection, but it's also past life. It's a system that you can use for past life regression too. I've talked about this before. Is
Yeah.
part of his system.
And I know what you're talking about because he does lead you through a lot of exercises of dissolving your like you're breathing in light and then you're dissolving your awareness of you. But then like he'll be like, picture yourself on the ceiling, and then so then
Mhm.
you're in trance and you're like trying to like I haven't gotten to the point where or maybe it's still all in my head. Does that make any sense? Where I'm like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, I can imagine what I look like down there, and I can imagine myself of the roof, and I can imagine myself on the street next, and all the he keeps taking you farther and farther. But I really feel like I haven't been trapped. Like it feels like it's happening in my imagination.
Well, that's okay. You know what? And I teach this in class that imagination, using your imagination is the key to psychic work, the key to your intuition. So you have to actually just, instead of saying, oh, it's just my imagination, actually, yeah, it's my imagination. Use it, play with it, because that's when things start to happen. Yeah. And he does a lot of work where you go, where you're actually stretching your astral body because you're stretching up and then down and then up and down. You pull it back
Yeah.
in and go up and down. You're stretching your astral body.
Oh, okay. So
So
that's
at
what that is.
some point,
All right.
you'll pop out. So yeah,
Cool.
keep doing it.
Because I was always wondering. I mean, I understood the logic of a lot of his stuff, but then I'm like, why do we keep doing like you'll do 6 inches and you pop back in, and then you do 12 inches and then you do 2 feet, and then eventually, Well, he starts with your head, then your feet, head, then your feet, and then it's your whole body. And then the next thing, it's like, go to the ceiling, go to the roof.
It's helping you pop out of your body.
Oh,
That's
I see.
exactly what that is. Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
keep doing it.
If I, well, I haven't gotten, and then after that, I fall asleep. That's usually when I fall asleep. And he talks about that. Like, you get so close to that theta delta wavelength that it takes a while to like stay conscious where you don't get sucked in
It's
to
really
sleep.
easy. It's easy to fall asleep. Really
I have
easy.
recognized though
Yeah.
that I don't know about you, but I have recognized when I practice doing that kind of work, and then I guess now it's astral travel practice. Didn't realize that, but I can always tell when I'm about to fall asleep. Have you ever seen this? When you're getting that close to theta, all of a sudden, I'll start to see faces in my mind's eye, like faces of people, and then they're doing funny things, and then sometimes they'll like open their mouths really big, like the hungry ghost. You ever seen the hungry ghost? And then I'm like, and I finally put it together. I'm like, that's a clue. I'm getting so close to delta. I'm getting sucked probably into the fourth dimensional awareness of trapped soul, and then dropping into delta.
Yeah. I think that could be in hypnosis. They call that the hypnagogic state, where you actually start seeing things. You can also remote view from that place.
Oh,
right. Yeah. So if you can hang in your awareness, keep your consciousness there and just hold it open, you'll start seeing more and more things. You might start remote viewing where you actually travel and remote view something, or you could be seeing beings. And when that happens to me, I'm like, now, is that my imagination again? Or are these beings that are like popping into my consciousness, into this realm, and they're emerging? So
a little startling because they'll rush you. Like the way I've experienced is like, oh, well, we got her. Like, and then they'll rush me. And then I'm like, I'll either pop out of that or like I'll drop into sleep, but I can't ever hold it with them.
Oh, interesting. If you can learn how to hold that state of consciousness, because I just go, I know you're there. I can see you. So it's not, so I'm not afraid. I just kind of go, oh, yeah, you're there. So it has less impact, like psychically or emotionally. Yeah. Yeah. It's fun stuff. Yeah.
Well, one of them is I never really met, well, I met him when I was little. It was my dad, it's my grandfather, it's my mom's dad. And yeah, and he opened his mouth really wide, and I was like, "Of course you're a hungry ghost, you asshole." He wasn't a really good guy. He had a lot of addictions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm like being
No, that's
candid there,
good.
but I don't know what he wants, but he wants something.
Yeah. It's like, go away. And that's, a lot of time, and for years I've done this, and I don't do it as much as I used to. That kind of, I know you're there. I don't know who you are, but go away. Usually it's, I know you're there, go away. But now it's more like, I know you're there, because maybe I should allow them to stay and see what's going on. Maybe there's something that I need to see. Yeah. Or get information or whatever. Yeah. Really cool stuff. So, yeah.
A purpose to it, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. There could be a purpose, not just some random person showing up. That's very possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's worth investigating. Yeah. I used to do it a lot, actually. Like somebody would pop in right in front of my face and I go away. I don't know who you are. And now some of those people that I told to go away, I wish I would not have. Oh, well. It's like, dang. Okay, you can come back now.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably something for another conversation, but like I think I've learned through my healing work finally. Before, I used to really get caught up in, and I'm not saying there's not negative entities, right? We know that they exist just like people, like, but I used to think it was like, oh, like fight them off, like, oh, my vibe, I got to keep it high, but now it's like what I've learned is like they're here because there's some kind of resonance going on. And so I take personal responsibility where like, well, I wouldn't be seeing you if there's not something going on in me. So then I work on myself to clear it.
Yeah.
So I guess I don't really see like randomness in things as much, where I just like face it and it's usually easily cleared. It's like, oh, I'm feeling like this and that's why I'm saying that.
Yeah. Instead of going into the fear of the thing, just go, okay.
The people to like in the plant medicine community, they always approach things as a warriorship, like, oh, blow the tobacco, oh, the negative. And I'm like, it's got a message. It's got something it needs to express. It needs healing. Something needs healing here. Like, come on, let's use our brain.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and there are dark entities, and I've seen dark entities, and the secret, or one of the keys, is to not be afraid. And sometimes when those things happen, actually, just myself personally, it's like I have not been afraid. Surprisingly, like, oh no, buddy, you have to go. No, like you're not welcome, and you have to go. And so, what's the lesson around that? Maybe I needed to know that I could just go, no, you're not welcome here, and you have to go.
It had a purpose for
And
you, right?
that I wasn't afraid. What?
It had a purpose. Maybe it was resonating with some fear you had, and then
Yeah. Or I think it was a succubus, like something trying to suck your energy. It's like, no. And so maybe that was it. Like, no, you cannot do that. And I'm not available for that. Who knows? Because, yeah, those things, they're around. Yeah.
I don't know.
They're mostly feeding off of fear.
Right. Yeah. And each one has like, it's like with you got to address everything individually. Like, okay, yeah, maybe that one you needed to learn your power. Other times I had to learn, oh shit. Like one time it was me from a past life. Like it was a timeline to like, and I had to like go into that timeline with it and clear it and heal it, and then have this dualistic healing with it from something I had carried over from another prior lifetime. And but if I had treated it like, oh, that's an entity, like I wouldn't have gotten the healing from it.
Yeah.
I had to summon my compassion. It showed me how compassionate I was, and that was my lesson. And that I like that being deserved compassion from the timeline that they were experiencing when consciousness was low. It still deserved to go back to the light. Still deserved mercy, but
yeah,
I don't know.
That's really. So, do you think did that all happen on the astral plane? That, since we're talking about astral projection.
Yeah.
Wow. It's good work.
But that was a big growth for me, because that's when I outgrew at that moment, which that's hard. I had to outgrow some people that were in my life that were like, oh, well, if you're dealing with that kind of stuff, you're a negative person. You're not really highly spiritual. And I got to sage myself because of you. And I was just like, at that moment, I'm like, I was able to go into that darkness, like, and come out with light. Like,
wow.
And apparently we've just outgrown each other.
Yeah.
In this moment.
Yeah. Well, isn't that called that's spiritual gaslighting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
You want protection? Get yourself a kitty, right?
Yes.
A familiar.
Yeah, because animals see spirits. Peanuts see spirits. That's for sure. Yeah.
I know we're probably getting to the end, but did you ever hear about how cats, like, that's why they're so associated with witches, is they have the ability to like pull off and clean energies in the house, and that's why they always want to go outside and discharge. But like they're your guard. Like we think of them but they're our guardians, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I believe that. I haven't heard that before. I had a cat who I think was helping, and I think cats do this when they sit on your body and purr, that actually bring healing to what part of that body is, and take that energy. Sure.
Yeah, they're like masters of it.
Yeah. So. And I've had cats where I've seen like astrally their bodies pop out and do stuff. Yeah. It was a long time ago, but I have seen that. Yeah.
When she's 20, my cat right here that I showed you guys, but she's got dementia. So but when I was younger and I would travel, she would always come in my dreams. like because she was traveling to me, like when I'd be gone.
Mhm.
But she doesn't do it anymore, and I think it's because she's got little kitty dementia. But
Oh, oh, baby.
that's my superpower: getting all my cats to live to be 20. They
Wow,
live forever.
that's amazing.
How old's your kitty?
Well, Milo he's not that old.
Oh
He's
no!
maybe 6 or so now.
Oh,
So
he's still a baby.
he's young.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe even younger than that. I don't keep track of those things, and it's like they're just here with me. That's
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
the greatest astral projectors we're ending it on are kitties. So
Yes, they are. I've seen it. Absolutely. Yeah. Cool. All right. Here's to cats. They have mystical powers. It's true. It's really true. I think, yeah. And by the way, I think that my cat is a lot smarter than my dog. I hate to say it, but I think so.
I'm whispering it like like my dog can tell.
Yeah, I think so. They're just so different. Anyway, I think we're done with this conversation ending on cats and dogs. That's
It always comes back to cats and dogs.
yeah. All right.
Okay.
So I don't know what we're going to talk about next time, but I think that you guys will enjoy this conversation. Please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And hey, if you have any suggestions for what you would like us to talk about too, we would love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
please comment on that.
So
Okay.
follow us in the comments below in Visionary Messages, where we do global predictions and we do readings of intuitively reading assets like Bitcoin and crypto. And then anything else that I forget?
I have mine, which is under Lorina Quigley. That's it. It's
All right,
pretty
guys.
simple. All right,
All right.
everybody. Have a
Thanks
great
for
day.
following.
All right. Bye.